Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Didi Got a Podcast. And today, man, I want to speak on a situation that was brought to my attention that's been all over the headlines regarding British Nigerian boxer Anthony Joshua, who was unfortunately involved in a fatal car accident just a couple of days ago. And I wanted to just speak a little bit about this situation because there's a lot of weird numerology and a lot of weird things happening with this case, and I just wanted to give my thoughts. I have a series, a playlist on this channel called More Than a Coincidence that's been running strong for more than 5 years. And there's a reason why it's called More Than a Coincidence, because we keep hearing and seeing things in the media and in the news and in this world that we're being told that these things are just coincidences. And I stopped believing in coincidences a long time ago. So let me start off by saying, first and foremost, rest in peace to everyone involved. For those of you that don't know, Anthony Joshua is, as I've said, a British Nigerian boxer who's been boxing since 2007. He's been doing this thing for some time. And I want to go to the news article so we can better understand what happened. And then we're going to get into people like Jake Paul and Logan Paul, who I believe personally are under the programming. If you're new to the show, if you're not used to language like that, I mean that it is a strong possibility that Logan and Jake Paul are MK Ultra assets, allegedly. Allegedly. I think that when you look at Logan Paul and the video that went viral many years ago, that really brought him to the mainstream in regards to many people, with the viral video of him finding a dead body in the woods, I believe was a ritualistic video. I do believe that Jake Paul is in the know as well, if you know what I mean by that. If you're a Patreon member, then you follow my drift. And I think there's a lot of signs that Jake Paul is in the know. But first, let's go to the article and let's read a little bit about this. So it says here, British boxer Anthony Joshua injured in car crash that unalived two close friends in Nigeria. Former world heavyweight boxing champion Anthony Joshua escaped with minor injuries in a car crash that unalived two of his friends and team members on Monday, according to Nigerian authorities on his promoter. The incident occurred around 11 a.m. on 5 a.m. Eastern Time on a busy stretch of the Lagos Ibadan Expressway, which connects Ogun to the commercial center of Lagos. Local police in Ogun State reported. Joshua, who has family ties in Ogun, sustained only minor injuries, but Baba Seyi, a spokesperson for the Ogun State Police Command, said two other occupants in the vehicle with him, including the driver, were unalived. Now, this is already where some confusion is coming in, because if you go over to the New York Post, it says here, driver in fatal Anthony Joshua car crash could face charges. How can a person who's not alive face charges, right? So it says the man behind the wheel during the fatal car crash that hospitalized English heavyweight boxing star Anthony Joshua and unalived two of his trainers has been discharged from the hospital, but can now face criminal charges for his role in the collision. What I found weird about that is that, obviously, so when you look at the images here, so he was unalived in a car accident that looks like this, which is not rare. It happens more often than people realize, that people can be in a car crash where the vehicle is like smushed, but you come out with a minor injury. So I'm not saying that it's rare, that this never happens, but it's a bit weird when let's listen to what this eyewitness says. He says, an eyewitness has told the BBC about the moment of the crash. Musbois described seeing four cars coming from Lagos, Nigeria's largest city. The cars were speeding and trying to navigate, and they hit a truck parked in front of our shop, he tells BBC Pidgin. He says four people were inside Joshua's car, which a lot of people aren't talking about the driver. Joshua was trapped inside the car for about 20 minutes, he says. We saw him and said he is our glory here in Nigeria and went to rescue him. He walked out by himself, greeted the crowd, thanked people, and shook hands, he says. Now, I personally find this a bit strange. I'm not saying that it's rare or that it's impossible for this to happen, rather. But for you to be involved in something so tragic like this, which, again, I send my condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones. But for you to be involved in something like this, and then to exit the vehicle and you're greeting people and you're shaking hands and you're thanking people, most people would be traumatized, in shock, trying to figure out what happened. Or that right there was a bit strange to me. Another thing that I found strange about this is that, okay, fine, he walked away with minor injuries, but he walked away with minor injuries. Two of his closest friends passed away, unfortunately, but the driver survived, almost as if it wasn't meant for the driver. I don't know. I'm not saying that something nefarious here happened, But that just stands out to me that the two people that survived was both Anthony Joshua, and I'm glad that they survived, of course, was both Anthony Joshua and the driver, but his close friends passed away. Where this gets even more weird is when you start to look at the numerology of everything, right? That we've covered many times on this channel, especially when it comes to the Charlie Kirk incident. Many of you all found this channel through the Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Erica Kirk, TPUSA whole debacle. And a lot of numerology have come up, right? One of the biggest numbers being the number 33, the number 36, the number 6. When we talk about the Epstein, Hillary Clinton, and the list goes on, that number just have come up so many times over the years that it's not a coincidence at this point. Because if we have all this evidence, all these videos, all this research to show proof for this, and then another incident happens and we see the same numerology, at some point you got to stop calling it a coincidence. In this case, Anthony Joshua was 36 years old, or is 36 years old. Both of his friends that passed away were both 36 years old. And it just so happens that this wreck that took place on December the 29th comes 10 days after a fight that Anthony Joshua had with the one and only Jake Paul, where the fight took place on December the 19th. The same fight where 33 million people were watching, the same fight where Anthony Joshua would knock out Jake Paul in the 6th round, the same fight where it was allegedly Anthony Joshua's 33rd fight. The numerology is staggering. And for those of you, it's just like WWE. If you believe that these things aren't scripted, if you believe that if you just trained hard enough and worked hard enough and you can get up there and fight for 6 rounds and win $90+ million, and there's not a door that comes with that, there's not quote unquote sacrifices and weird things that come with ascension in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry, if you're still one of those people that's holding out hope, I got bad news for you. It just doesn't work that way. All right. We talk about Freemasonry often on this channel. For those of you that don't know, the number 33 in Freemasonry and the occult essentially stands for ascension, right? You've reached God-like status. So one could say that after Anthony Joshua, quote unquote, beat or knocked out, broke Jake Paul's jaw, allegedly, that he, quote unquote, ascended into God-like status. And a lot of times that comes with an answer. It's just the truth. But there's a few things about Anthony Joshua I believe a lot of people don't even know. Like I said, he started boxing back in 2007, but by 2010, 2011, he would face some run-ins with the law. A lot of people don't know that. He was actually pulled over and some marijuana was actually found in his vehicle, and he was actually facing quite a bit of time. A lot of people do not know that about him. And much like in my video about a guy by the name of Kevin McCall, who was the quote-unquote ghostwriter behind Chris Brown, much like how we spoke about in that video in his career, he faced some legal issues, and it was some interesting things that happened immediately after that when he received a heck of a deal, and then his career seemed to ascend. But he first had to do some other things first. You have to go and watch that video to find out what that thing was. But in this particular case, Anthony Joshua, not long after facing these serious charges, would actually become a member of something called the Member of the Order of the British Empire, which is something that only Prince Charles can approach and offer to a person. And then he would actually win, because if he went to jail for obvious reasons, he would not have been able to continue with his boxing career, let alone compete for championships and compete in the Olympics. Well, a year after the charges, which would eventually be dropped or lessened, and he just did community service and didn't have to do jail time, he actually would win the Olympic gold in 2012. And just like all other athletes, if you haven't checked out my video on Colin Kaepernick, I would highly encourage you to do so. It's actually one of the deeper videos on this channel. So I'm just going to give you a heads up. It's pretty deep. If you're not into this type of stuff, that won't be the video for you. But much like Colin Kaepernick, who I believe is a Marxist, who I do believe is in the know and is into the occult, celebrities are used, right, as agents of chaos. And I believe that that's what Colin Kaepernick was. It doesn't matter if you are against racism and you think racism was really a big deal and he was standing up for that. It's deeper things that are at play. And what I'm saying is, all I'm saying is, these celebrities are being used as pawns. Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, allegedly is no different, because he will come out in a video a few years back that a lot of people actually forget received he got a lot of pushback for this video, because it was not only encouraging people to get the jab, but it was also stirring more division between the races of people, when he very creatively encouraged people to get the jab by talking about racism.
A virus that is not apologetic, a virus that spreads across all sectors of our communities, sports, education, churches, entertainment, the media, and even the government, not just in the UK, but across the world. The virus has been declared a pandemic. It is out of control. And I'm not actually talking about COVID-19. The virus I'm referring to is called racism. How long are we going to allow racism to spread through our communities, and right now we are in the community, and affect our lives without using the vaccine you already have in your possession? What is the possession? Me and you. You are the vaccine. I am the vaccine. We need to speak out in peaceful demonstrations, just like today, so well done, Watford. Inject the vaccine. We must not use a demonstration for selfish motives and turn it into rioting and looting.
And I've seen all across the internet, a lot of people have been saying that they believe that Anthony Joshua, this happened to him because he, quote unquote, didn't stick to the script because he wasn't supposed to knock out Jake Paul. I don't know if that's true, but this is what I will tell you. I do believe that all of these things are scripted. I don't believe you get on that stage unless you've been selected, not just because of your hard work. I mean, just look at the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. A lot of people can clearly watch that fight. Even Mike Tyson at his age should be able to knock out Jake Paul. It's just the truth. Mike Tyson is one of the strongest and most elite fighters we've ever seen in this world. And when you watch that fight, it was almost comedy. You know, this is all entertainment. And it was a bit of a humiliation ritual, in my opinion, that Mike Tyson had to go through to even participate in that fight. A lot of people forget that this man was basically naked on television to promote that fight. Another big thing about this fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul is that Jake Paul was constantly sticking out his tongue that almost seemed like a serpent's tongue throughout the fight. Another common thing you see from these celebrities is that I've mentioned this before about other videos. I said, and I'm still asking the same question, but why is it that you rarely ever see any celebrities who are followers of Christ unapologetically? Not progressive, fluid. The words in the Bible are interchangeable and flexible, and Jesus is all about love and no repentance and no sin and no hell. Why is it that you don't see any celebrities that are actually for what the scriptures stand for? Why is that? How come most celebrities seem to be open to all things or super against quote unquote Christianity? Why do you think that is? Anthony Joshua was no different. Anthony Joshua can be heard in interviews talking about how he was super accepting to all religions, doing interviews with witches, talking about how he was invested in the 48 laws of power and used some of those laws of power to advance his career. And it also doesn't help when Anthony Joshua is partnering with Freemasonic lodges to have his shorts auctioned off. It's also not helping when one of his affiliates doing the boxing match is doing the Freemasonic hand signs, the same hand signs he can be seen doing as well. Not to mention that he literally stood on the checkerboard pattern flooring that we've covered many times on this channel, which further leads us to believe that Anthony Joshua is most likely a Freemason, which wouldn't be surprising at all, because not only does that run rampant in the boxing industry, but it also runs rampant in Hollywood. Most of these people are Freemasons, and that's just what it is. As you notice in that video of Anthony Joshua talking about racism, much like Colin Kaepernick, he's wearing all black because that's by design. I mean, listen to former NBA player, current NBA player, whatever his current status is, a guy by the name of Trey Burks. I want you to listen to all the things that I already know and listen to what he said about the NBA and what it takes to become one of the elites in the sports industry.
Man, you made it to the league, bro. It's a whole, like, they don't put the emphasis on it that I feel like we should get, because it's
1%.
It's a prestigious fraternity, bro. Like, straight up, it's just something that ain't easy to do. So I commend everybody.
I look at it like everybody in the world who ever played basketball wanted to go to the NBA, bro. Every kid from every state, from across seas, everything. And some of the people that got to do that, bro, it's a small list, bro. It's 1%, bro.
So I just feel like it need to be more respect on the guys who they don't look at as the so-called superstars. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because it's so much going on, bro. Like, and I don't even want to get into all that, but a lot of, like, bro, like, some niggas, bro, some superstars took a different route. I'm gonna be real. Like,
real shit.
Some superstars took a different route, and I ain't get on here to talk about that much. But some of that shit come with some demonic shit, some dark shit. You feel me?
Yeah.
Some of that shit Like it get real.
And I want to give a shout out as well to The Truth Is, the YouTube channel The Truth Is, because he also shared a clip when talking about this topic as well of this soccer player who spoke about being approached. And this is especially relevant because he's not from America, much like Anthony Joshua. So you can hear about what happened to him and make your own decision.
Former professional soccer player Khalil Lambin, you have an absolutely wild story, including the offer to sell your soul for success. Tell us about it.
Till the day I reached the UK. And in the UK, I was offered by a journalist who in the beginning, I was not aware that he was part of this. So he basically said, let's have a interview about you. You've been in Thailand, you've been in Qatar, you've been all over the place as a young player. So the fans want to know more about you. So obviously I was naive and I said yes. And a couple of weeks later, I got some time. We went to a coffee place. And as I arrived, brother, he looked me straight in the eyes and he told me that I'm not a journalist. I'm like, if you are an agent, I already got a football agent. If you are from another team, I don't want to move from my actual team. I'm fine where I am. But then he said, no, we rule this world. We rule the sport industry. We rule the finance industry. We rule the music industry. And if you want to be part of the elite in your sport, you have to join the elite. So I was like, whew, bro, that was like tough because for me, my hard work will be what will help me to step up. But bro, all my dream came down. I was like, in front of him, he's looking in my eyes and he's telling me that. So obviously my first reaction was fear. But bear in mind, I was not Christian. I was not walking with Christ and I was still Muslim and he's offering me this. If you ask me today what kept me is my beloved mother who always told me, don't you ever sell your soul. And while this man is speaking to me, I could hear the voice of my mom in my ears. Do not sell your soul. Do not sell your soul. But then I asked him this question, what do I have to do to be part of the elite? He said, there is nothing physical. I will give you an address. You come at such and such time, and we will initiate you. I was like, whew. And as the voice of my mom was a seed in my heart, she kept, as he's speaking, I'm hearing, do not sell your soul. Do not sell your soul. I was like, whew, I can't do that. And I could see his energy, his aura was getting like really, no, that's going to be possible. And I was like, no, I can't. And if you ask me today, I know that Jesus saved me from that. And as I'm reading the Bible says that what would a man give in exchange for his soul? I was like, that's exactly what happened to me a couple of years ago. But now that I'm in ministry, supporting sports people into the world of football, I'm seeing footballers after one another coming to me and say, bro, actually your testimony touched me because I've joined them. Are you sure Jesus can save me? Say, what did you do for you to join? They asked me to offer my son. They asked me to go into some intimate relationship with my own mother. They've asked me to sacrifice such person in a car crash. You see, in the physical realm, it will be like a car crash, a cancer, something, but somebody has offered them because they have the same blood. And if you look back in the Old Testament, you can see child sacrifice. You see, so as I am seeing this footballer telling me, I say, God, you've actually saved me from something so dark.
My ultimate point here is, again, rest in peace to everybody involved. But the fact that this happened 10 days after he had the biggest fight of his life, the biggest payday of his life, I don't think is a coincidence at all. And the goal of this channel is to open people's eyes as to what really goes on in this world. Y'all hop in the comment section. Give me your thoughts, man. Once again, rest in peace to everybody that lost their life. Hop in the comment section and give me your thoughts on what you think. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want access to extended and uncensored videos. Also, link is in the description to my merch store. I'm Demetrius. I go by Didi. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.